Ms. Rahayu, Mahzam.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to focus my comments on the amendments to the Active Mobility Act 2017. The Active Mobility Act is an important piece of legislation that has allowed our society to take another positive step towards achieving the vision of a car-like Singapore with a sustainable public transportation system that is affordable, convenient and efficient for Singaporeans. Personal mobility devices, power-assisted bicycles and bicycles have enabled Singaporeans, young and old, to get around with ease, improving first and last mile connectivity. The little to no emissions also leads to a cleaner and healthier living environment. However, pedestrians, cyclists and users of PMDs and PABs with differing needs are now using public paths that were predominantly used by pedestrians. It is therefore critical that a good balance is struck between the diverse needs of various users. The Active Mobility Act paved some way towards regulating the conduct of the different users of the public paths. However, months after the enactment of the Act, there is still much buzz on the ground about the issues faced by various path users. This proposed bill, which brings with it more specific legislation, is therefore important. I would like to make some brief comments on them and revisit some of the issues raised during the last debate on the Active Mobility Bill. The mandatory registration of certain personal mobility devices is a welcome enhancement. I note we are starting with e-scooters. Such process ensures that the devices are safe before they are used on the public path system. This allows for some monitoring of the mobility devices and vehicles that populate our paths. I would like to seek clarification on whether an inspection process at reasonable intervals, annually or biannually, is envisioned. These inspections may be useful to ensure continued compliance with regulations. There are also proposed amendments to sections 30 to 34 of the Act to extend the scope of the ban on display, requirement to issue warning notices, advertisement and sale of non-compliant devices and vehicles. I note that during the last debate in this House, before the Active Mobility Bill was passed, there was some discussion regarding online sales and the challenges of enforcing these provisions on those sales. I note the Ministry's position during the debate. I also note that this legislation relates to conduct and the course of business for retailers and does not currently seem to cover individuals who advertise their products through social media or through platforms like Carousel. I would like to seek clarification on this. If it does not cover individual sellers and those who carry out sales online, would the Ministry consider extending these provisions to address such sales? There were also some discussions previously on compulsory insurance for riders of mobility devices or vehicles. I would like to revisit this point again. I believe if personal mobility devices and mobility vehicles are here to stay, we may want to reconsider setting up requirements for compulsory insurance by the owners and riders. In 2017, it was reported that there were 128 accidents involving PMDs on public paths. When such accidents take place, they inadvertently result in injuries and property damage. However, currently, the riders and users of PMDs or mobility vehicles are unlikely to be insured. If they are found to be personally liable for the damages and do not have funds to cover payment for compensation or injuries and damages, the injured pedestrian may be left out in the cold. Compulsory insurance is therefore protection for both the rider and the injured pedestrian. It is also likely that the claims for personal injury and property damage is likely to be of small quantum, and the current process and cost of filing a civil claim for personal injury could be prohibitive in nature. It might be useful to consider if personal injury claims below $20,000 can be decided at the Small Claims Tribunal. In any case, it would be prudent as part of the education for PMD users to be informed of insurance available. Active mobility is a lifestyle choice and it must be supported by a culture of graciousness and considerate behaviour on the part of all users of public paths. All path users, be it the cyclists, PMD users, PABs or pedestrians, have a part to play to create a safe mobility culture in Singapore. I note that there had been some grouses on the ground from riders regarding the rules on modification and speed limits. I believe that there would be continued efforts in educating the public about the need to be safe on the public paths so that they may appreciate the importance of this legislation and work together to build a positive culture within our community. Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding my comments, I support the bill.